Hey, what's up, guys? Just want to show you this cool little project I've been working on that it's pretty easy to do if you know anything about computers. Um, if you're not very good with computers, I know it might be a little bit of a challenge, but looking through forums and browsing the web, you can work through most problems that you might come across. And so I'm kind of an intermediate user, and I'm not gonna lie, I had to use a few forums to figure a few things out because I had a few hiccups along the way. But first, I'm going to get into the hardware of this thing. So what we are looking at right now is a touch uh, screen right here. It cost me about $70 for this touch screen right here. Then we have the housing for the touch screen, which is like 10, 15 bucks, something like that. I thought it looked kind of nice, had kind of older style look to it with some new technology, and so it's pretty cool. But what I liked mostly about it is that it exposed the uh, the video board on the back that allowed me to do some things that initially wouldn't be able to do with some of the other housings for the screen. And so on the back part of this, we have another housing for the computer board or the Raspberry Pi. And I had some other ones, but I had to kind of form factor for what I was trying to do specific to my little project here. And so initially this housing would not go with this housing whatsoever. They're totally two different things. So what I actually had to do was I drilled some holes in the acrylic in order to attach them to these little pin pikes. I don't know what you would call them, but you should probably see them on other computer boards like this one right here. This is actually an orange Pi, which is very similar. Different people make them, but very similar concept. But these are the pins that I attached it to. So just much like this is here, I drilled a hole in the housing. It allowed the screw to go through the housing and into these pins that are connected to the video board on the back of um, the touchscreen TV. So took a little time to do all that and put this housing all together. Then in addition to that, I knew I was going to overclock this Raspberry Pi, and so I went ahead and got me a little fan, and it's unhooked right now because it's actually really loud. I need to get a new fan already. The fan I got isn't that great. I mean, I checked on the temperatures though. It worked wonders as far as when I was loading out the CPU and stress testing it. It dropped it significant. The operating temperature for this thing's about like, I can't remember what it was, like 77 degrees. But with the fan and the heat sinks that I added to it, it allowed the temperature to run safely at about 60 degrees. So, so yeah. But it usually doesn't run at that high operation tempo. So that's just something like if I'm using a higher end game that I'm going to play on it or something like that, it may take a little juice, and I overclocked it to allow it to run some like Nintendo 64 games a little smoother. And so it does help in those situations to keep the CPU cool and extend the life of the board since I have overclocked it. Um, but overall, it doesn't use that much power, so I think it's a good trade-off. Plus, the board itself, like I said, is very similar to this board. It's the Orange Pi. What I'm actually using in here is a Raspberry Pi. They're like $35 boards, so if I burn it up or break it, like, who gives a shit? It's 35 bucks. I'll just get another fucking board, so it's not that big a deal. I prefer the Raspberry Pi over the Orange Pi. Both of them have very similar capabilities. They both got 1 gigabyte of RAM, and they both run at about 1.2 gigahertz stocked without overclocking or anything like that. But the reason why I like the Raspberry Pi rather over the Orange Pi is it actually has two additional USB ports, and it doesn't have a big antenna for the Wi-Fi and the Bluetooth connection. So that's two of the main reasons right there why I prefer the Raspberry Pi. And there's more support out there on the forums for the Raspberry Pi versus the Orange Pi. There's a lot more people doing a lot more things with the Raspberry Pi than they are doing with the Orange Pi. So you can get a lot more help inside the community with the Raspberry Pi versus the Orange Pi. Alright. So now that we got through that boring piece, I'm going to get to the part that everybody likes and understands, and that's, well, what does it do? Okay. What does it do? Well, it's really limited to your imagination, because I'm going to show you what I'm making it do, but it can really do just about anything. It also has a 3.5mm headphone jack, and an HDMI hookup as well. Also an 802.11 Ethernet port. So it's Bluetooth, it's wireless, it's got Wi-Fi capabilities, totally portable on the go. So as you can see, the screen lights up. Retropie. We'll get into that in just a second. First thing, I have it defaults to when I boot up, it goes into Kodi, which is like a home entertainment kind of center. And you can see the touchscreen works here. To give you like an idea, you can come down here to videos. I'm going to go to add-ons. Right now I got a few things installed. Let's say I want to watch a YouTube video. I click on there and the YouTube app will pop in. You can sign in, search for videos, anything you want. You can also put popular video applications in, such as Netflix, Hulu, anything of that sort. There's other programs you can use to watch things that you normally wouldn't be able to watch. But that kind of crosses into an area of legality that I'm not going to be responsible for, so I'm not going to go over that. But that's Kodi. If you don't know what that is, check it out. It's awesome home media center application. It is free. It's open source. You can get it anywhere for free. Download it. Once I exit that, it goes into my emulation station. And what this does is this emulates all the old systems. So as you can see here, I got several old systems: Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, Nintendo 64, regular Nintendo, PlayStation. And you can go to these systems and you load video games in them. And you can select a video game and it will load an old video game. And you can go online and pick up ROMs and download the ROMs and put them onto your Pi very easily, and it'll allow you to play pretty much any game all the way up to regular PlayStation. So from Atari, Commodore 64, Neo Geo, all that old school stuff, all the way up to PlayStation. And surprisingly enough, the Nintendo 64 tends to take more stuff and runs it harder than even PlayStation does. But nonetheless, it still works. So the final piece I did to this is because I just been continuously building on this. It started without even the screen. It was just a little box, and I'd hook it up to my TV, and I just kept doing more and more with it. One really cool thing that I did that I thought was awesome is actually put a desktop environment onto it as well. So now as this thing stream videos for me and other sorts and music and other things on Kodi, and it plays all my old school games, but it also provides me with a nice desktop environment as well. So if I want to do something, make a Word document, check my emails, whatever, I can do all that with this device too. And because of its just all the different capabilities it has, I mean, it's such a plug-and-play functionality system. I mean, I hook my phone right into it, and I tether the internet straight to it, so I can even do all this on the go. So, I mean, this thing's awesome. I bring it to the office all the time, and I might throw something up so I have some background music or background noise going while I'm working, or, maybe on my lunch break I might play a little bit of Super Mario Bros. Or something like that. And so, I mean, it's just awesome. It's low on energy consumption. You can actually hook up a backup battery to this thing and run it without any power source. It's just a really cool little project I've been working on, and I mean it's pretty awesome. And like I said, it's wireless as well. So like you can see, I have it set up here, but I can come over to my computer over here, and I can actually SSH into this thing. Hold on, let me find. Here we go. Here's Buddy. I open it. Yeah. Alright, so get my sessions. Load that. Alright, so as you can see, go ahead and log in SSH. And then bam, here we are already. And I guess I'll go ahead and check for updates. I ain't tried to, let's see, I ain't updated in a little bit. Let me see if there aren't any updates out there for it. And, yeah. But in addition to that, so you can SSH and you really play inside of it. It's a Linux-based system. In addition to that, like as far as adding new ROMs to it, it's like super easy. So you can pretty much go in there, and there's going to be a folder that says ROMs once you install the Retropie operating system. And it has a list of all your ROMs in there, and you just click on one, like whatever it is that you're looking for. Let's see like Nintendo 64. So here's all the ROMs I already have Nintendo 64, but you just find a file, download it, grab it from your desktop, drop it in this thing right here, and just restart your system, and bam, you have that new game in there. So it's really easy to put new games on this thing. It's just awesome. So yeah, that's pretty much the Raspberry Pi. And there's people who have done so many things with these. I mean, they've made home security systems out of them. I mean, there's just so much you can do. It's really limited to the user's imagination. Yes, it's really limitless. I mean, there's so much to plug and play and to do with it. I mean, it's pretty crazy. And so, like I said, this isn't what's in there. This is an Orange Pi. I'm using a Raspberry Pi, but this is very similar. Orange Pis are great too. They do a lot of the same stuff. A few differences, a lot of similarities. I'd recommend either one of them to play with. I actually started with the Orange Pi because it came in the subscription I had known as Hacker Boxes, which were pretty cool. I learned a few things from them, but I canceled my subscription eventually because I just felt like I could get cooler shit on my own. But in either case, if you haven't played with these things, I would totally get your hands dirty with them because they are fucking cool. So I guess that's about it for my Raspberry Pi entertainment system. So I'll catch you fuckers next time.